Her name is Adams, but she's not the mayor. The council speaker joins us. And what's the latest with the Trump investigations? The Point starts right now. Council Speaker Adrienne Adams' job is to ride herd on the 51 members of the city's legislature, a group that serves as a check and balance to the mayor's power. So my first question to you is, what do you think the biggest problem the city is facing right now?
Oh, the biggest problem? Well, it would certainly be the migrant issue, the asylum seeker crisis, where absolutely New York is bearing the burden of a nation. That is the absolute first issue.
Well, you know, I wanted to ask you your reaction to the letter that the governor sent to the courts, which called into question the mayor's handling of the migrant crisis. I wonder what your take on it is, having to also approve a lot of the things that are going on.
Yeah. You know, it's very interesting because we're all on the same page when it comes to the issue, when it comes to the crisis, when it comes to the needs of the asylum seekers and longtime New Yorkers who get lost and get cut out of the whole conversation, which is a priority for the council as well. We all want the same thing, and that's to make sure that services are provided, that human beings are taken care of the right way, that we have the necessary overhead and the necessary sheltering for individuals coming into the city, that they're protected. And people use, and I'm going to correct it, people use the term illegal. Once they come into New York, into our sanctuary city, we are providing everything legal for them. So the term would be legal at that point because we are doing everything legally that we're responsible to do.
Are you worried about the increase in cost? I know the mayor last week said that it could be as much as $12 billion. I wonder if you think that that's going to affect the budget and what the council's priorities are.
Well, our priorities are to make sure that people have some place to live. And that's been the council's focus overall. It's been in our focus as far as our housing priorities, as far as our priorities when it comes to eviction and making sure that people remain in their homes instead of being put out in the street. It costs far more to house folks in emergency shelter than it does to keep people or place people in housing or supportive housing for a longer term.
So you've been very active in the council. In fact, you overrode a mayoral veto because you want to ensure that the city doesn't evict people, that the city creates more affordable housing and gives people a faster track to get out of homeless shelters. So where are we now in terms of, you know, creating more housing?
Well, the housing issue has been an issue for New York for a very long time. Far before the mayor ever became the mayor, before I ever became the speaker. It's been a serious issue. We are so far behind in New York when it comes to creating housing, when it comes to creating affordable housing. This is an issue where just a few areas out of the entire scheme of the city, just a few areas have been responsible for the entire new building of housing for such a long time. I've put into place a fair housing agenda now that we're taking a look at, that my members will be activating. When it calls into action every single district to be responsible for building affordable housing.
But doesn't it get some pushback from some people in the communities because they don't want it in their neighborhood?
Of course.
So what do you do?
We keep on pushing. Housing is everybody's responsibility. And once we continue to drum that message through to New Yorkers, we all love New York. We want to make sure that our neighborhoods are places of welcome. We cannot afford, literally, we can't afford to have the focus of not in my backyard anymore. We just can't afford that. There are too many people that are looking for places to live. There are too many people that are looking for affordable places to live. If we want to maintain maintain the stability of New York, the stability of our wonderful and vibrant neighborhoods, we've got to be welcoming, and we've got to build affordable housing.
So what about the idea of using some of these office buildings where, you know, because of COVID, people are not going to work anymore and converting them into, you know, apartments?
Yeah, it's a fantastic and phenomenal notion. I firmly believe that we need to do this. We do have some issues where we're looking at the feasibility of conversion of certain buildings. Some of these buildings really were built to do work in, and not built to house folks. So we've got to look at transitioning the properties of these buildings from working spaces to housing spaces, and that may take some time. It may take funding as well, some money as well to do that, but I am absolutely in favor of these conversions.
So could the cost be prohibitive because a lot of places were built as offices, and to turn them into apartment living where you have bathrooms and kitchens and things like that, is that difficult to do, and is it costly?
Well, whatever we choose to do as New Yorkers is going to cost us something. We've got to weigh, though, what is the cost, what is the outcome. Right now, we are in the middle of a tremendous housing crisis, homelessness crisis, and now asylum seeker crisis as well. I think that we all have to pitch in and do everything that we can to combat that crisis.
So how do you feel, not to change the topic, but how do you feel about the situation with Rikers and the call for you know, a federal receiver to take control of the jails? Good thing for the city, bad thing for the city? Should the mayor be given more time? What are your thoughts?
Extremely, extremely tragic situation, the goings-on at Rikers. The safety conditions for detainees, the safety conditions for staff, for correction officers, it is dire. People are dying. 7 people died this year alone, Marcia. That's 7 too many. And with really, as we look at it with the naked eye, no relief in sight. We have got to prevent harm coming to the correction officers, the staff, the detainees at Rikers Island. The court is looking at what they need to do as far as receivership. Our take in the council, we have got to preserve safety, maintain safety, and we've got to get to that final line of closing Rikers finally. We are mandated to do that by law by 2027. I think that we need to keep a focus on closing Rikers.
Will we be able to make it? Because right now there are 6,200, excuse me, people on Rikers Island, and the community jails will only hold, say, 3,300. So what's the answer? Will we be able to make it? Will we have to build another jail? What will happen to that extra number of people if you close Rikers?
There are still several angles around the closure of Rikers. I don't think it's any secret that Rikers Island is a tremendous facility for those with mental health issues. We need to take a look there. Do those individuals necessarily need to be housed and maintained on Rikers Island, or can they be placed in other places? Some of us believe that there are other places where they belong so that they can get the help that they need instead of festering away at a jail, really with no a court date yet assigned.
So, but do you think you reach a point where some of those people who are there will be put on the street because there's no space for them?
I really would not like to think along those terms. We are mandated by law to close Rikers by 2027. There are different solutions around how to reduce the headcount at Rikers right now, and my hope is that we work together to get to that.
We only have about a minute left. I wonder if you could tell me how you assess the relationship that the council has with Mayor Adams as opposed to Council Speaker Adams.
It's a different relationship, but it's a normal relationship. When we take a look at the executive branch, the mayor's administration, and and my side of the house, which is of course the legislative branch, it is a normal, healthy relationship. We are the check and balance to the administration. We are co-governing bodies for the city of New York. When we agree, yes, we definitely agree. We talk. Our staff get together very, very often to do the work for New Yorkers and what we perceive to be in the best interest of New Yorkers.
Okay, and we're going to have to leave it right there for now, but our conversation with the council speaker continues right after the show on our streaming channel, CBS News New York.